Hey everybody, Colton here. All right, we don't have another show for a few days, but I wanted to hop on here really quick and make a special video talking about the big news that Netflix has pissed in Skydance Paramount's Cheerios and won the bidding war for Warner Brothers, meaning that Netflix is now going to be the owner of HBO, DC Studios, Warner Brothers' entire catalog, the movie studio Warner Brothers, and all the HBO stuff, and I believe all the like TV channels and stuff that Time Warner owned, those are going to remain with Discovery. Now, this is big. Some are freaking out and saying that this is horrible news, which I understand. But there are some others who are celebrating because I guess they were dropped on their heads as children, and they think this means that, oh, the Snyder-Verse is coming back. Well, I thought I'd share my 2 cents on it. Like I said, this is in the middle of the evening. I'm actually about to leave, head to a family thing, but I had to talk about it real quick. So, Netflix buying Warner Brothers, it's actually, I don't think the end of the world, assuming they do it right, assuming that they do things right. So, my preference going into this was that Warner Brothers just wouldn't sell at all. But that ship has sailed. Okay, they were totally 100% going to be selling. They said send in your bids, and remember that is why David Zaslav, the CEO of Warner Brothers Discovery, that's why he came in the first place. His job was for when Discovery bought Warner Bros. From AT&T. His job was to go in there and make it worth more than it was when they bought it, and so that they could then turn around and sell it. It was a flip. You know, like when you buy a piece of shit house and you flip it and then you sell it to somebody else, you set it, you fix it up some, and then you sell it for a profit. That's what their plan was with Warner Brothers. So, in that situation where we know that they have to sell to somebody, they're selling to somebody. If I had to pick a buyer, I would have preferred it to have been Apple. They have a good working relationship already with Warner Brothers. They have the money to just buy them outright in cash if they wanted to. And Apple, I feel that they have like this attention to detail and like quality over quantity like in their DNA, especially when it comes to like not just their products, but even with their shows on Apple TV. Uh, they're still like also relatively small when it comes to Apple TV, and it wouldn't feel like such a monopoly. I think if Apple got Warner Brothers, because they're still just like barely getting their foot in the door with this whole like making movies and making TV shows, making their own stuff. Apple TV, I'm not sure how popular of a streaming service it is, but I would assume it's toward the bottom. They don't have a giant catalog, but everything they have is like really, really good. Again, quality over quantity. And I think bringing in Warner Brothers and like combining with HBO Max and all that, that would have been good. But that's not what we're here to talk about because that didn't happen. Uh, Netflix ended up buying Warner Brothers. So I'm not like jumping, over the moon, like, whoa, Netflix bought Warner Brothers. No, but I am glad that another like giant movie studio isn't buying a giant movie studio, and that was one of the reasons I didn't want Skydance to win this bidding war because they just bought Paramount. Plus, I don't like the Ellisons who own Skydance. I don't like their buddy buddiness with the executive branch. I don't like that yesterday evening when they clearly caught wind that Netflix had won this bidding war, and they then Skydance put out a letter basically threatening to use their relationship with the president to upend this deal, and they were crying foul. They were trying to like stop it from happening pretty much. So look, Ellison's David, if you wanted it that bad, my friend, you should have just bidded more money. If you wanted it that bad, you should have bidded more money. You lost. Get over it. Don't go whining to the president. It looks bad. So I'm glad that they lost out on it because they seem to be really good at running off talent, like they did with Taylor Sheridan. And I don't want to see that happen with James Gunn and other like top-notch people at Warner Brothers. So I don't want to be too mean. I don't know David Ellison from Adam. He may be perfectly nice guy. I don't know. I don't care. But I am glad that Skydance didn't get it. Now, let's talk about Netflix getting it, getting Warner Brothers, and what this means for the theatrical experience and this entire industry. Netflix, they do seem to have began to come around on the idea of having their movies in theaters, such as the new Knives Out, uh, K-pop Demon Hunters. They did a run in theaters, albeit it was after it dropped on streaming and got super popular. They're putting the series finale of Stranger Things in theaters, so they are open to putting stuff in theaters. So I think Warner Brothers is likely going to serve as the studio theatrical film distribution arm of this company. And my hope is that the people who run Netflix, the streaming service, not Netflix the company, but Netflix like their actual product of Netflix, the streaming app, I hope that they oversee their productions and that will be separate from the people running Warner Brothers Studios, and that they'll all just answer to Netflix, the company, not the streamer, not the actual like application and the people who run that. I'm talking about the people that own Netflix, that oversee the entirety of the company, if that makes sense. So I hope that they are kind of church and state on that. I don't want to see the same people who are over making like the Netflix movies just combined with Warner Brothers, unless it's more so Warner Brothers taking over. I don't want to see Netflix take over, because Netflix makes not great movies. They're really good at making TV most of the time, or maybe not even most of the time, a lot of the time, but not great at making movies. So if we did see a scenario where they combine those two even more so, like the Netflix studios and the Warner Brothers studios, I would hope it would be like the people running Warner Brothers who come in and kind of start to steer that ship. Anyway, let's talk about James Gunn and the DCU. It has been confirmed that Gunn is indeed staying in his role as big boss at DC Studios. That is great to hear. And to my poor broken brain babies who think that Netflix will bring back the Snyder-Verse now, all I have to say to you is I have a lot to say to you. Keep dreaming, okay? It's not happening. Netflix, in fact, they pretty much just shit can cut ties with Zack Snyder after the disaster that was Rebel Moon. So not gonna happen. No Snyderverse. It's over. It's done. Netflix will continue the DCU. Hopefully they will just let James Gunn cook and not interfere too much, because that's what you do when you're a smart business person. You hire creatives to do their thing, which is making good stuff for your company. And as long as the numbers stay in the green, you leave them the fuck alone. So I don't hate this. I think as much as some people, I'm also not swooning over the idea like some people. I would have much preferred it been Apple. I'm not crazy about the idea of theatrical windows being shortened, which the CEO of Netflix has said that's probably what we're going to see. But let's face it, WB was already shrinking theatrical windows before Netflix came into the picture with, in terms of like buying them and all that. Superman was only in theaters for like a month. So before they started putting it on digital and stuff. So I don't know that Netflix is going to be any worse. Now, if Netflix ever steps in and starts dropping WB movies on streaming like the same day that they're in theaters, or only 2 weeks after the movie has been in theaters, that's gonna be a big no for me, because all that does is tell people, hey, don't go patronize your movie theater because you can just watch it at home in a week or two. And that will kill this industry. So we'll just have to see how it happens. I kind of feel like Hux in Rise of Skywalker, because I didn't really care if Netflix won. Like, I wasn't like, oh, I hope Netflix gets it. I just wanted to see Skydance lose. And that's what happened. So, all right. I'm performatively looking at my watch, but that is the time. I do need to go. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in our next video, or in our next episode of Ask Colton. I don't know, that's kind of weird. I usually do the Ask Colton show and then upload the clips, but this is kind of a special news day that I just had to get on here and talk to you guys about this. You can probably hear my wife coughing her head off in the background. I apologize. If you're gonna cough, please leave the room. All right, bye guys.